Today I'm going to be talking to you about interdisciplinary approaches to sport and exercise science. The British Association of Sport and Exercise Science identifies that the science of sport and exercise attempts to answer a variety of questions with regards to what happens to the body during physical activity, how physical activity can prevent and treat diseases, how the performance of an athlete can be improved, how the body and mind reacts to extreme environments, and how and why injuries occur. SES is the application of scientific principles of sport and exercise, achieved through one of the three sub-disciplines: biomechanics, physiology, and psychology. Alternately, this can be achieved through interdisciplinary approaches, which integrates and utilizes more than one sub-discipline in order to attempt to solve real problems for individuals and groups within the SES environment. You can benefit from this as you can look at a problem from several different perspectives, giving a more holistic view of the situation and helping to work towards a far more beneficial resolution. Anderson and Williams highlight that one of the essential foundations of injury prevention is an understanding of the mechanisms that underpin or cause the specific pathologies. For example, I have chosen to look at interdisciplinary approaches to sport injury and stress. Research has demonstrated to me that work in this field generally exists with specific focus to one of the three sub-disciplines: psychology, physiology, or biomechanics. Each of the sub-disciplines has very valid, valuable, effective, and reliable arguments to how to predict injury with regards to stress. Psychology, physiology, and biomechanics all have arguments to predict or resolve injury and stress alone, but putting them together has helped me to understand how an athletic trainer, physiotherapist, or coach can help the athlete as much as possible. Here is a model by Williams and Anderson from 1998 that attempts to demonstrate the psychological perspective of stress and injury. The psychological perspective suggests that injury can arise from a stress response produced through individuals' personality, stress history, and coping resources. A potentially stressful situation will impact the stress response, and depending on those preliminary factors, may or may not cause an injury. The biomechanical perspective suggests that overuse injuries can occur when there is an increase in variables such as training frequency, training intensity, a lack of recovery, stretching habits, and much more. For example, in this particular study by Huraljak and Ferber in 2006, they investigated the effects of running and stress injury. They suggested that increasing running distance will increase steps, which will ultimately increase the stress placed on the joints, and putting the individual further into the injury zone. Increasing intensity in running means increasing the speed, which will cause greater forces produced on the musculoskeletal structures involved. The American Institute of Stress produced this figure to demonstrate the physiological impacts that stress places on our body. For example, it increases breathing, heart rate, muscle tension, blood pressure, weakens the immune system, causes a lack of sleep. These are all major effects on the physical health, but it also can have a major impact on sport performance, creating a higher likeliness of sustaining an injury. There was knock-on effects such as lack of coordination, lack of concentration, which can also increase likeliness of misinterpreting loads or the correct form needed to perform a specific skill and cause a potential for an injury to arise. Putting all of the perspectives together can allow us to understand how the injury could have been sustained and how this can help us to work with interventions to help prevent injuries in the future. For example, an intervention to help with cognitive restructuring to change the way an athlete will interpret the situation, which will reduce stress and somatic stress on the body, which will mitigate the chances of things going wrong. For instance, putting extreme loads to a joint or using the incorrect form, which will cause an injury. This is how I got the idea for the presentation of the infographic. I used an interactive and graphical problem-solving technique where a question was asked and three statements were presented that I got from the research for each of the three disciplines. I then created a visual combining of the three disciplines using circles to show how they are their own discipline, but they can also be combined to work together and help to solve the issue. I then suggested how interventions can be used to be able to solve the problems in all three areas. Here is a list of all of the articles that I read to help me gather the information for my infographic. I tried to include all of the key information from the articles that I read into an interactive graphical presentation. I found so many interesting factors that contribute to the topic of stress and injury from all three sub-disciplines. Again, this is an extension of the articles that I read to help me with the information for my infographic. I'm now going to talk about a personal action plan that I've created. I had to go over 59 competencies over 10 sectors with regards to competencies within the SES profession. I then had to highlight the lowest 20 competencies and make an action plan as to how I can improve this with a realistic time frame and a goal as to when I want to achieve them. Here is an example from section 1 of the competencies. I gave myself a score out of 10 for each of the listed competencies, and this is the same for every other section of the competency list. I then gave an evidence base as to how I believe I've fulfilled this competency, and it gives a clear demonstration of how the course content, seminar sessions, and interactions with peers and lecturers has helped me to develop a solid knowledge base on the human body, what can happen to the human body, how exercise can help to prevent or improve any issues, how to assess the human body for complications, and how to improve them through exercise and physical activity. I believe I gained a lot of this knowledge from my health physiology course at level 6, which I have demonstrated in this competency list. Again, the course content has allowed me to understand how to collect information in the SES domain, particularly with regards to psychology and physiology, and how to analyse this information to diagnose and monitor things like procedures and treatments. Also, I refer here to my dissertation, which has helped me to understand how to collect appropriate information, how to analyse and critically evaluate the information also. So here I've demonstrated how the course research methods at level 4 and 5 has helped me to develop an understanding into research methods, statistical analysis and application of findings. And this has allowed me to apply this to my dissertation also at level 6, which I've also given here as evidence. Level 4 and Level 5 fitness instruction, personal training and exercise referral have helped me to develop a thorough understanding into the importance of communication, the correct techniques of communication, both verbal and non-verbal, and interpersonal skills in order to build a solid rapport with clients. These are valuable skills that I can carry with me for life, as no matter what role I would do, communication and interpersonal skills are essential, whether that is with clients or even with management and colleagues. Again here, I have demonstrated how the course content and seminars have helped me to learn the valuable skills involved in problem solving and the monitoring of effectiveness of interventions. This is something that I can continually develop on as I progress through my SES career. The SES course has helped me to build solid foundations to this area of the profession. SES modules such as personal training and fitness instructing, physiology, biomechanics, and psychology have all helped me to develop a good understanding into the importance of treating everyone in the same way no matter what, the importance of legal issues such as informed consent and confidentiality, and the duty of care, and also to exercise effective leadership skills. These are all skills I can also develop through the SES career, but again, this course has set me up with solid foundations to help me no matter what my career path. So this is the personal action plan that I've put into place. These are the steps that I'm going to be taking in order to develop the competencies. I have made 1 to 4 steps based on thorough understanding of the meaning of the competency and how I would put this into practice. So for example, in the first competency, I would research audit processing in an SES domain and specifically to the health physiology practice. I would then look to understand how I could participate in an audit process and understand and appreciate what an audit process is and how it would help achieve best practice. Then I have set timing goals. So for instance, in the top competency, I have suggested that I would like to have understood this competency by September 2020, as I am intending on completing a master's degree, and this would most likely help me and would be important for this master's degree. But I've also acknowledged that I may not develop this competency fully until the end of that course, so I've set a further goal for me to develop it by the end of that course. In the bottom competency, I suggest that I want to be able to finish this by the end of my master's course that I potentially like to take. This is because I believe that I will be continuously working on this throughout the master's degree as I learn new technologies and information within the practice. Here is another example. However, I've also highlighted in the bottom competency that this is likely something that I will still be developing throughout my SES career, as it is something that I would need experience in order to be fully confident in, which I'm likely to gain when I start working in actual practice.